As a preliminary matter, this is Shashi Menon, Chairman of the Council on Aging Board, Town of Shrewsbury. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Barbara DePaulo.
I'm here.
Virginia Leonard. Oh, she's going to be late. Louise Russell.
Here.
Zoya Mehta.
I'm here.
Norma Giumantaro.
Here.
Betsy Zweig. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly? I think you have it muted. Your right hand needs to be muted. Unmuted.
That is sign language.
Yep, that's good. Oh, that's better.
Technical difficulties today, and I'm here.
You may have to turn up the volume just a little bit.
I'm here.
Staff. Holly Lopt. Rector.
Present.
Christine Moraldi.
Present.
Good morning. This open meeting of the Council on Aging Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure proper, accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each member or staff member who has the lead role for this particular item or guest speaker associated with this item. As they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members first and then to staff members, inviting each by name to provide any comments or questions. I will then call upon the members to offer a motion and then a second. Please hold until your name is called. Remember to mute and unmute your phone by pressing *6 or mute your computer when you're not speaking. I think we can now start with the first item on the agenda, which is the minutes of the August 2020 meeting. Now, I think what I'd like to say is, but you've all seen the minutes and I'm basically in agreement that the minutes are accurate. However, I did format it or reformat it to make it look like some of the other ones that have already been posted on the web, since we are planning to do the same thing. Is there any discussion or comments about this? Let me go down the line. Louise?
No.
No comments?
No.
Zoya?
I agree on the new format. That's the way to go.
Norma?
No comment.
Barbara?
I have a question. Are
Yes.
you talking about the like the heading? Is that what the difference is?
Well, that's the primary difference, but all I've done is I've highlighted the main topics that are being discussed, and then, I just spread it out a little bit more. That's all I did. Your material is still intact.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I'm going to try to do that. What I request is that you do, I'm going to do today's minutes, and then you do them over the way you want the format to be. And then I can see really what the difference is, because the sample that you sent, I really couldn't see a big difference. Is that agreeable to you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Betsy?
Yes, I agree.
All right. So Holly, do you need to be in on this? Holly's thing is muted. Okay. So we agree that we'll go with the new format. I will try and take or somehow, but I'm not taking the minutes. You're still going to take the minutes, right?
I'll take the minutes, and then
Okay.
because
I will try and put it.
Chairman, the
Yep.
one example you used was, it was in the past, and it was, I just would like to see like I'm going to do the minutes today, and then could you please turn them into the format you'd like, and then from then on, I can do it with that format.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
One other thing I would like to discuss with the board, I'm opening up this for discussion, is I'm looking at the minutes of the other organizations that I looked at, and it seems to me that whenever a motion is presented, they identify the person who's proposing the motion and the person who seconds it. Should we be doing the same thing? What do you think,
Yes.
Louise?
Yes, I think so, definitely. Yes.
Zoya?
I think yes. If we are going to follow the protocol of the other groups, then yes, that should be the way we go.
Norma?
I'll go with the majority.
What I'm saying is, do you agree that the person who's proposing is, whatever the item they're going to vote on, and the person who seconds it should be identified? It looks like the others are doing that.
Oh, right. They should be identified.
Barbara?
Sure.
Betsy?
Yes.
Okay. So we agree that we're going to do that, and from here on, we're going to identify every motion by the person who's proposing it and the person who's seconding it before we take the vote. All right. If we don't have any further discussions, we can move on to the next item, which is the gift fund report.
Hi. So I had included the summary and budget like I do every month.
Yep.
Louise has diligently pointed out to me that there was a mistake, and I do apologize for that. To give a little bit of a background, I have individual sheets for each account. When I combined them into the breakdown here, there was a transposition error, so I do apologize. So for the gift account, the expenses this month were $328, not $184. But we did get a $20 out-of-town newsletter fee deposit, so that the total expenses for this month was $308. The balance of the gift fund is $43,536.70. So in looking at the formula grant, I've totaled up our current expenses from July to the end of September is $14,253.46. Starting next month and moving forward, I will take those expenses from our grant amount of $79,000 and give you that, so we have a running total like the other accounts. So this is the last month where we'll get the expense amount. Did anybody have any questions on the expenses on either the summary or the breakdown report?
Joshie?
Louise?
I just got an aside question. It says on the out-of-town newsletter fee, $20. Where did that come from? It used to be $5 or $10.
So, to my knowledge, the fee is $20. We do pay a higher postage rate for out of town because it has to travel farther. Any newsletters we mail out of town, even if it's to a surrounding town like Worcester or Boylston, has to go to Springfield and then come all the way back. So we pay a higher rate for out-of-town newsletters.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure. I knew what it used to be, and all of a sudden it's doubled, and I didn't know where that figure came from. I was just curious.
Holly has a question.
No, I just want to state that since the COA has now taken over the expenses for the newsletter, whereas the Friends used to, we just kind of went along with the way the Friends were doing it prior, and they were requesting $20 for out-of-town residents to receive the newsletter. And just as Christine mentioned, it doesn't make any sense that we bring it to Shrewsbury and it goes to Springfield and then it comes back to Shrewsbury or Worcester or whatever. But it is quite expensive to ship those out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions on the reports?
Holly, go ahead.
Can I just remind people that if you're not speaking, to put your phones on mute because there's a lot of background noise, at least on my end.
Barbara has a question.
Yes. Could you just repeat what the difference was for the gift fund so that I can get that into the minutes? I didn't have that page up when you talked about.
Sure. So the expenses for the month were $328. So that brings the current balance of the gift fund to $43,536.70. Any other questions? Okay.
All right. Formula grant.
So, as I said, I've been totaling up our expenses for the formula grant. So those equal $14,253.46 for this fiscal year 21. Starting next month, I will start deducting the expenses from the 79,000 and change. Excuse me, I don't remember the exact number. So it'll reflect the balance like the other accounts. So it'll look a little different next month. But if anybody has any questions about those expenses there, feel free to ask.
Joshie?
Yes, Louise.
I had a question. Refresh my mind on what that Northeast IT is. That's a monthly bill. That's paying for what?
That's the IT support for the computers in the lobby.
Okay.
So they have to come in and set it up. We actually had a gentleman here earlier this week, or last week, I'm sorry, that was doing some maintenance on the computers. So we pay for a monthly service with them.
I knew we had done that, and I couldn't remember for what it was for. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
No, I'm not here.
Nora, go ahead.
I have a question on the formula grant. What is the beginning figure on the formula grant? I see the expenses, but I don't know, what we've got left or what the beginning figure is.
Yes. So when we first started this fiscal year, we weren't sure exactly how much of the grant money we would get. So we do know.
I realize that. Do we know yet?
Yes. So I know it's the original amount from a couple years ago, 79,000. And forgive me, I don't know to the penny. So starting next month, I will display the starting balance compared to the expenses like I do for the other accounts. I just didn't have that information prior to this.
Oh, all right. All right. I was wondering about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Holly, I have a quick question about the computers. We are paying a service company even though the computers are not being used. Do we have to continue with that?
We do, because it would cost us more money to take them offline, same as, the lights in the rest of the building and things like that. They just finished putting them up. It's part of the monthly contract. And, these other businesses and organizations, they still need to you know, if we were having a problem, they were going to come in, fix it. So yes, it is something that we need to continue to do.
Does that include maintenance of updates, the Windows updates and the computer updates? Will they come in and install the updates and make sure they are up to date?
That is part of the contract, yes.
All right, good. Any other questions on the formula grant before we move on? The next item on the agenda is the director's report, starting with the scholarship.
Yes, hi everybody. It's good to see everybody again. So the scholarship is going to be really quick. To be quite honest, there's been a lot of other things that I've had to take care of over the past month. So right now the scholarship for me has been on the back burner. And as I go through my director's report, I think you'll understand why that happened. So if you don't mind, I'm going to skip right over A, and I'm going to go right to B, the resource guide, print. And
Holly, I have one question about the scholarship. This is really something that I want to talk to the board about. And that is when you are working on the scholarship and putting this definition together, here's something that I feel we should talk about. If you look at the kids who've been awarded scholarships through the town or through the library, it's always the top students, the really bright students who get the awards. But yet, I feel that we have enough middle-of-the-road students and middle-of-the-road parents who work very hard to give their children a better education. Is it possible, should we consider limiting some scholarships specifically for kids who are going to community college? Holly.
Zoya has a question, and then I'll respond to that.
Go ahead, Zoya.
I thought we had made a decision that this scholarship was for the seniors and not for high school students. This is for seniors to be able to take some courses to promote themselves rather than giving it to high school seniors. I think that's what's in the minutes also, that it is being assigned to high school seniors. I think we need to make a definite differentiation where it is going.
So if I may, so just as I just mentioned, so yes, Zoya is correct. At the very beginning of the last meeting, we had talked about giving the scholarship to a high school student. And then as we grew through our discussion, we kind of went and said, you know what, hold on. There's no reason why we can't help the education and the long learning of an adult senior. And where I'm starting with this meeting is that I haven't been able to really look into that because of other things that have come up that I had to prioritize. So with that, I'd like to table the scholarship until I have more information to bring to the board for the November agenda.
That's fine. That's fine with me if it's fine with the board.
Okay.
Everybody is shaking their head. So go ahead, Holly.
Okay, so I'd like to move on to number B, or letter B, resource guide, print and distribution. Everybody should have received the materials with the quote for the resource guide. This quote came from Alpha Graphics, and as you can see on the quote, it is for 100 quantity of the resource guide versus 500 quantity. And as you can see, the more you order, the lesser the price is. Now this is for the resource guide to be bound and printed both sides and sent to us. So one of my thoughts was, if it's going to cost for 500 guides to be printed at $460.14, my thought was, in order for us to get money back, because if we were to take it out of the gift fund, if we were to take that money back and request $1 for each resource guide that was sent out, we would then make a $40 or $38 profit, $36 profit off that, assuming we could actually disperse 500 resource guides. We may want to go down to 250 just to see what happens instead of overspending. But it is something that I would like to have some hard copies available. Perhaps we only go with the 100 copies and see where that goes. I think it might take some time to get the word out that we have them. So 100 copies might be more appropriate.
We lost Holly's connection.
She froze.
So putting the
Holly's frozen. Oh, there she comes again.
Oh.
Holly, we missed part of your discussion. The computer went off.
So I apologize for that. Some of you are frozen on my end right now. Can people hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So we got the quote for 100 printed and bound resource guides and 500. It would be my request to the board to let us use the funds from the gift fund to have 100 printed and then try to distribute those to see how easily we are able to get them out with a request of $1 per guide.
Holly, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the town goes, since COA is a town department, are we required to have multiple bids for this to do this much printing? Once we get into a larger volume?
It's well below the requested need to bid.
Do you know what the cutoff is? I mean, how many copies are we allowed? I mean, discretionary.
How many copies are we? I think it's, I mean, as a board, and I think with our statistics and the phone calls that we take, it would be my understanding that would be up to me and the rest of my staff to figure out the needs of the seniors that we are aware of and how many copies we would need. And keeping in mind that those copies are free online. But no, these aren't something that we would have to go to bid for.
Okay. Barbara, got to unmute your.
All right, I propose that we have Holly take the money from the gift fund for 100 of these. What are we calling them?
Resource guides?
100 resource guides to see how that program goes. I agree, it's free online, so I don't, not too many people are going to need a hard copy. That way, it's going to cost us about $31 as a test to see how it goes.
Barbara,
I second that.
are you making a proposal?
I did. I proposed it.
Okay. Who's seconding it?
I second that motion.
All right, good. Louis, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Louise?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Agree.
Norma?
Agree.
Barbara?
Agree.
Betsy?
Yes.
And I also vote to agree. So the motion is carried.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to move on to letter C, the outreach coordinator position. We do have a fantastic candidate that we are trying to work with to figure out the salary and the hours and things like that. It's come to my attention most recently, even this morning, that it seems to me that the outreach coordinator position that was originally supposed to be budgeted for 32 hours for the fiscal year 21 was actually miscalculated. And it was under the budget. So we're trying to figure out where to kind of get the extra money from. I've been working with town management, and even as of this morning, we're still kind of in limbo of where we are. I need to have a conversation this afternoon for my weekly COA meetings with Kristen Loss to let her know the things that we have come up with and the hurdles, I guess, if you will, that we're trying to overcome. Because the bigger problem is that, as you all know, COVID has really hit every department's budget extremely hard. We're down thousands and thousands of dollars for the rest of this year. Fiscal year 22 is looking the very same. So what I'm doing, working with Christine and the rest of town management, is to make sure that I don't shoot COA in the foot and overexpend on a position where funds may not be. So you have a,
So
Sashi?
So what you're saying is this is not a full-time position, it's a part-time, it'll still be a part-time position?
So technically, anything under 37.5 hours is a part-time position. Each rank, when you go to 37.5, 32, 24, it's 37.5 that actually comes with the benefits. But the problem is it seems as though, as I mentioned, it doesn't seem as though it was budgeted correctly. And we're short a few dollars, and we're not sure that we have it anywhere to take from. Because one of the issues that we're facing here, the staff, myself, is, so for instance, last year, I'm going to give you a for instance. Last August 2019, for Meals on Wheels stipends was $60. This August, because of COVID, was $515. It is a gigantic jump. And the great thing is, at least we know our Shrewsbury seniors are getting meals. The bad thing on our part is that we would have never known to budget for such an increase. So now I have to be able to, this is where it affects the salary of the outreach, right? Because I have to make sure that we're still providing the $5 for the Meals on Wheels stipends, because that was the agreement with the Meals on Wheels drivers. And the last thing we want to do right now is lose any Meals on Wheels drivers, especially with the fall and winter. So I'm just trying to figure out, with Christine and the rest of the town management and accounting, where all of our expenses are coming from. And I honestly feel like, for instance, the Meals on Wheels stipends is only going to grow over the next few months. We can only hope. So in order for me to budget for the outreach coordinator's position, I have to take all of that into effect and really sit down and crunch the numbers. So again, so we don't end up in a deficit. So with the
Holly,
yes,
I'm sorry, Holly, this is Jenny Leonard. Sorry, I have joined late. So what has been the difference in terms of the jump in cost? Is just where you're getting the food from, or?
No, so the Meals on Wheels are drivers are paid $5 a route, and each route.
Okay.
Yep. So so each route has, and Shashi, correct me if I'm wrong, can have anywhere from 15 to 30 stops. So in order to kind of compensate our drivers, we're giving them $5 a piece. And August 2019, there were only 12 routes, and now we are up to 100.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
Holly, may I interrupt?
Sure.
As a Meals on Wheels driver myself, there are still 5 routes as far as I know. And so that means there are 5 people per day. 5 days a week, that's 25. That number does not change. It's the number of people that change on the route. And there should be from my estimate, unless I'm seeing something different, from my estimate, there should be no change in the cost per month. It's still 5 routes. So if the fact that on Tuesdays, I only have 15, but on Thursdays, I may have 20, it's still the same route. That's the part that I don't understand.
Okay, so Christine, did you find any other information from Beth this morning about any of that? If not.
So there are several different routes. So for example, the numbers that Holly had used previously for August 2019, there were 12 routes in a month. So we sent out Meals on Wheels drivers to do 12 routes over the course of August 2019. In August 2020, we sent drivers to do 103 routes over the course of the month. So there have been some instances where a particular driver may have doubled up a day. So they did 2 routes in one day. I talked to Beth Murray, the kitchen manager, this morning, and they have since brought on 2 additional volunteer drivers to do more routes. So the number of people has definitely increased. the number of people participating in the Meals on Wheels program, and they are either one person can't do a vast number, so they have to divide up the routes sometimes. So for September 2020, I just did those stipends. We did 107 routes. So that's 4 more than last month. So they are steadily increasing, and we are sending out more Meals on Wheels drivers every day.
So can I ask another question then? Are these people, are these residents who used to normally come in and have meals at the senior center? Or these are just new people who, because of COVID are kind of shut in? Maybe it's hard for them to get to the market. I'm just kind of interested in where the jump comes from. And if it's a jump
Virginia,
from one to another, is there a transition?
Virginia, the way Meals on Wheels works is each person who gets Meals on Wheels has one person. First of all, they have to be interviewed by the services and assigned a caseworker to identify their needs.
Oh, okay.
And then Elder Services determines that for whatever reason they qualify to get Meals on Wheels. The amount that they pay depends upon your income level. And that goes directly to, to Elder Services, I guess.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so there's no subsidies for these kinds of things. It comes out of the senior center budget for that community.
So
that's just the stipend that the drivers get to offset the cost of operating their vehicle.
Okay.
Yep. And I do not have the information on who gets Meals on Wheels. That's a HIPAA. That goes through ESWA. So they don't, I have no idea who's on that program. All I ever get is the numbers.
Okay.
So that's with that going forward. So just back to the outreach coordinator position, this has been an ongoing situation that we're just trying to make sure that we do it correctly. And one of the things that I had brought up to town management, just so everybody is aware, is that, yes, you know what, a year ago, we really, or 5 years ago, however long it was, we really needed those extra hours to offer outreach. And now with COVID, all of the things that we had anticipated for the outreach coordinator to do, go to the library, go to St. Anne's, go to the here and there. The problem is some of those places aren't open and we don't have the ability to go, or we can't go into homes. So, I've been going back and forth, do we keep it at 24 hours and then increase it when we need to and make sure that that's in the budget for when we have to? Because, if we go into another lockdown, the outreach coordinator would basically be working from their home on the telephone and not really doing house calls. And I want to make sure that there's enough work for everybody to do if the position, just depending upon what the position says, whether you work 18 hours, 32, 24, 37, it doesn't matter. So I'm still working with town management to make sure, again, we come up with the best solution for what our needs are right now, not what they were a year ago. And I will absolutely keep the board, educated on how we are moving forward to let you know what's going on. The good thing is that there are people out there that are interested in the position. It's just finding the right one that fits with Shrewsbury. So I'll keep you all posted on that. So if there's no other questions, I'd like to move on to.
I have one other quick question, Holly.
Yes.
Many years ago, I'll be with you. Many years ago, before COVID, I remember a discussion with town management where they wanted us to coordinate our outreach person's activities with that of other charities and youth and family services. Is that still something that's being discussed?
Well, Shashi, as I just mentioned, yes. So when we finally get an outreach coordinator person into the part of our COA team, that person will be spending more time out of the center than they will in the center. And that means going to the library, St. Anne's, whether it's meeting somebody at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or their home or in the parking lot. Their hours will be more outside of the center than they will inside. But as of right now, what I'm focusing on is COVID and the department head meetings and how whatever information I learn from, you know, the public health department and everything else like that. And it seems to me that the way we're operating right now is the way we're going to operate for probably another year. So, you know, those are all things that while I'm looking at we're living the fiscal year 21 budget, next month, you know, I have to sit down with Christine and the rest of my staff to figure out 22 budget, and the 21 budget was just approved. So, you know, but yes, to answer your question, yes, those things have not, that is part of the outreach coordinator's job description, and that will not change. The only time that will change is the status of the center. Barbara has her hand up.
Barbara?
So are you proposing to keep the hours at 24 hours for now? And second question, are you going to hire someone now, or are you going to hire somebody when COVID is over?
So I am not proposing to change the hours to 24 right now. It was already approved at 32. We're just trying to figure out how to make the budget work with the 32. And sometimes it depends. So like, for instance, the applicant that we have right now, they're working towards their licensure. So, you know, there's 2 different pay grades, and this may happen again if this person doesn't take the job and we have to start from, you know, square one again. I don't have any additional information right now. The job right now is posted where it starts at $26.57 and goes up to $26.84. It is posted for 32 hours, but again, I need to make sure that it fits in our 21 budget and our 22. So and I will definitely, I don't need to wait till the next November agenda meeting to update everybody. We can always call a special meeting so I can give an update on whatever we find out. And hopefully, you know, that happens this week or next week. But that's all the information I have right now at this point.
This is Norma. I have a question.
Go ahead, Norma.
Oh, okay. I'm curiously interested in other senior centers to compare their outreach person. Do they spend more time inside or outside? How about comparable hours to what we are offering?
Go ahead, Holly.
So I've already collected that data. I actually did that a few months ago, and I reached out to all of my regional directors and had them fill out a shareable link. And this is how we came about figuring out this job description. You know, we have to, when we go and compare our job description, we have to take into, into consideration how many people each town has. You know, is it working from a center? You know, all of those things. So with that data that I collected, this is how we came up with the 32-hour position for the outreach coordinator. And I can tell you that in my discussions with other area directors, when I told them that that our outreach coordinator would be spending more time out, I can tell you that many of the directors responded back to me and said that they were going to start implementing that same thing. So the great thing is there is open communication between all of the regional directors, and we, instead of reinventing the wheel, and I think a lot of the directors will tell you that I am constantly sending them an email, asking them a question or whatever, just because, again, I don't want to sit here and start from scratch trying to figure something out when somebody else has already done that. So I take that information and then I make it Shrewsbury's, is what I've been doing.
And how about the number of hours that their outreach
So again, Right. So the same thing. So in the shareable link, I asked people how many hours does your outreach coordinator work? What is your senior population? What is your hourly rate? Is your outreach coordinator licensed or not? All of those were taken into consideration. And then I took the feedback from working with all of you since January, as well as working with town management to see what kind of person, what kind of education that town management would like the new outreach coordinator to have. And town management would like to see our outreach coordinator be licensed or working towards a license. So everything that you're asking, Norma, is fantastic questions, and happy to say that we've done that, and that's how we got to the conclusion of where we are right now.
I have one more question, Holly, and let you go because we are almost for almost an hour.
Yeah.
The question is, you talked about connect and assist, and it seems to me that connect and assist ought to coordinate their activities with the outreach coordinator.
Correct.
So is that something you're considering?
Oh, it's already done. So again, good question. I already have a folder on my drive that is for the new outreach coordinator, whoever and whenever that should be. And so everything that we've been creating, implementing since my start here in January and since Walter's departure in February, there is a folder designated for that outreach coordinator for me to sit down with and kind of go over all of the materials which I would like to see them move forward with. And obviously connect and assist is huge. Isolation is huge. Working with other town entities is huge. Working with the rest of my staff who does wellness calls and making budgets and preparing grants. It's all there. It's just waiting for that person to come aboard.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right. Please continue, Holly.
Sure. So D is the grab and go meals. And let me just pull it up here. So our grab and go invoice. So as everybody, just to bring everybody up to speed, for the month of September, the board agreed to pay for all grab and go meals that came through the center. And as you can see through the invoice, there were 431 meals. That was at a $2.50 donation from the Council on Aging, which equaled up to $1,077.50. That will be coming out of the gift fund. And I have talked to Beth over in the Meals on Wheels in the kitchen, and she said that some of those people that did request those meals have since signed up for the Meals on Wheels program, which is exactly what we hope for. On top of, in addition to it, because Grab and Go is different from Meals on Wheels, Grab and Go, I have the list of names of people that signed up for, which is great because now it's on my radar as when we receive those 10-pound food boxes from ESWA and EOEA. When we get the food, I can contact some of those people that took advantage of the grab and go and ask them if they are interested in, receiving some of that food that we receive. The other thing is we recently sat down with, her name is Melinda. She's from St. Anne's. And, I was talking to her about possibly receiving some of the food that the seniors have been doing through the drive-through and utilizing those same names that we got from the month of September for Grab and Go. And all of this is part of the Connect and Assist program. It's trying to be creative under these circumstances. So one thing I just want to mention really quick is I recently had a meeting with town management, and I had to submit my goals. And one of my goals was to create and increase the programs that the Senior Center offers. And one of the comments that I got back was, is that a realistic goal under the circumstances? And my response was, I do think that it is a realistic goal. It's just that we have to plan and create differently than what we were doing when the center was open. So offering the grab and go meals, offering other different programs outside of the senior center, I think are probably even more important than when we were in the senior center. So my answer to that question was yes, I think that's a reasonable a goal for me to have. And I'm super happy with the turnout for the grab and go meals for September. And I was just wondering if anybody has any questions off of that.
Sawyer?
Were there any donations from the grab and go meals? Even though they were supposed to be free, did anybody donate any amount of money?
So I did hear that a couple of people did want to give money, and I think that a couple of people did. You know, I, of course, would never tell people, oh, you can't do that, because I think that's how people are able to put their heads on their pillows at night sometimes. So yes, there was definitely people that offered.
Barbara?
I'm so glad that people signed up for the Meals on Wheels. That's exactly what we were looking for. That's so wonderful. That's good.
Yep. You know, and I think the best thing that, you know, I even took a phone call from a senior, and they said, you know what, had we never offered this, they did not want to go through the application process, you know, as simple as it might be. They didn't want to go through the application process and then hate the meals and then have to take the food away from somebody else. So, you know, the feedback that we got from it was really positive, and eye-opening. And it's all in, I'm actually putting it all into my senior center. It's taking me a little bit of a time. But this is great statistics for us to come up with another program, you know, whether it's next month or in the future or anything like that. Any other questions on the grab and go program?
Nope, I don't think there are.
Okay, so we'll just keep moving on. So letter E is the freezer. You can see, I'm just pulling it up on mine. You can see the freezer that we purchased from Home Depot, and that should be delivered today. That amount was $899, and that too was coming from the gift fund. And I'm very excited about having the opportunity to have a freezer in there. So whenever we get those 10-pound boxes of food from ESWA, we don't have to just shoot it out because we have nowhere to store it. So the great thing is, if we find somebody that is in need over the next few months, you know, through all of this transitioning, we will have that food available to people. Questions on the freezer?
Sawyer?
Where are you putting it? Where exactly is the location of the freezer?
So public facilities came down, and we cleared out a spot within the storage area of room A in the dining room. So it's actually under lock and key, so the food, you know, isn't easily accessible. And when we reopen, it's another place for us to store frozen items. So, you know, if friends of should buy a cake, a frozen cake or something like that. So it's in the storage locker, storage closet, excuse me.
Okay.
I think we can move along.
Okay. So F is Memory Cafe. So I've been in contact, as well as Christine, with Mary Gerber, who is still very much proactive in the Memory Cafe. She's been delivering, since COVID, she's been delivering, she's just started delivering goodie bags to some of those clients that the residents that used to join. I did recently hear that a few have passed since COVID, but Mary's been doing, and the rest of her group have been doing an amazing job in keeping the word out. There was some confusion on my part on who was, where the money was coming from and who was reimbursing, because the way it was working was, in order for Mary to get reimbursed quicker than you can through the town, she was submitting the receipts to the Friends of was then cutting the check for her, and then we were reimbursing the Friends. And Louise, thank you for shedding light on that for me, because I was confused as to who exactly was sponsoring that program, whether it was Friends or COA, and Louise cleared that up. But I do want to say, Louise and I had a conversation that in past years, there was a amount set aside for Memory Cafe expenses. And I would ask the...
Oh, I think we lost Holly.
Yeah.
$4,000. I would ask the board to, consider the fact that we're in COVID and we're not exactly able to offer the things that we were before. But Mary has said, she has given plants out and goodie bags and masks and, little snacks and things like that. So I definitely think it's beneficial to keep it going. So again, I would just ask.
So I have a question. So the member camp site obviously before was something that you came to. Are they doing this by Zoom now? How are they continuing to engage those families that were interested?
So we did attempt to do Zoom, and as you know, having people with dementia or Alzheimer's is very hard to have them focused on a computer. So Mary found out quickly that that wasn't really working. So what she was doing was she's doing like house visits, not going in the house, but doing, dropping gifts off to kind of support the caregivers that are still working through all of this. So basically that's what they're doing right now, is offering goodie bags, flowers, and activity books and whatever they can think of to assist those caregivers.
Okay.
Any other questions? Louise has a question.
Yeah. Do we need to? We did not in August renew our support for the Memory Cafe. We held off on that vote for the monies. I think possibly now we should make it official again, like we did last year. Last year we voted for $4,000 to support the Memory Cafe. I don't know that we're going to need that much. What is Mary's cost now? Are less than $100 a month, isn't it?
So for the month of August, and Christine, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like $60 and some change, and September it was like $114. Is that accurate?
So total this year we've reimbursed them $344.
So basically $100 a month, rough figures, right? So if I think maybe do $2,000 for the rest of the year, and that should be enough to, I've already spoken to it. Can I make a motion? Robert's rules you're not supposed to, but if somebody wants to make a motion to.
Before we make a motion, let me ask you the question. You said rest of the year. Rest of what year?
The fiscal year.
Which ends when?
June 30th. June 30th.
Oh, it's June 30th, 2021.
Yes.
And we have the funds now, or we expect to get the funds?
It's in the gift fund. We're using the gift fund monies we did last year.
Okay. Christine, where do we stand with the gift fund?
So Louise is correct. We used the gift fund to reimburse the Friends for their expenses and for the Memory Cafe. The gift fund currently has $43,500. All right.
So we're all set then. You want to make a motion?
I can make a motion that we pay out of the gift fund. We propose $2,000 to go toward the Memory Cafe, and the way that Mary, whatever she feels is appropriate and necessary for her to continue the work with the Memory Cafe.
I second it.
So a motion has been made by Louise to authorize the spending of $2,000 for the remainder of the fiscal year in support of Memory Cafe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So you are in favor, Louise? Yes?
Yes.
Zoya?
Yes.
Yes.
Norma,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Betsy,
Yes.
and I vote yes also. The motion is
And
carried.
Virginia, yes.
I'm sorry?
Virginia.
Oh, yes, Virginia.
Yeah.
Also a yes.
Okay, very good. To move on, G is Friends of contract, and I really shouldn't have put contract because we don't have a contract. I've been just trying to figure out the relationship between what the COA has been and the Friends of has been. And I've been in contact with Jerry Tongle, she is the chair, quite frequently to see, if there are things that we can do. And many of the board members that belong to the Friends are not comfortable going out because of COVID, and I understand that their fundraising abilities are restricted. But I do think, and I did send them an email. I sent a few of them a combined email that just said that, one of my concerns is that we still need support with still running programs and activities and events. I've been looking at what other towns are doing on the MCOA website is just amazing because what we've been asked as councilors on aging and senior centers is to send MCOA the things that we're doing to provide to our seniors. And in the past couple of days, I've just been reading them, and some of the towns are just, unbelievable. And with our restricted budget, there's only so much we can do without asking other people to help sponsor items. So, for instance, in your papers, you would have seen Help Feed a Senior. That I was trying to do a pilot off of the September Grab and Go. But after a discussion I had with the ESWA the other day, we had to pull it because ESWA felt that it could negatively impact their Meals on Wheels program because if people felt that they were being sponsored for free, that they may not sign up for the meals. And if the Help Feed a Senior went away, how would these people then get food? And they'd have to go through the application process all over again. I completely agreed with them that after thinking about it and really talking about it, that it probably wasn't the best thing for us to go forward. So as soon as that got taken away, I started thinking, well, what else can we do? So I have been in contact with both the police department and the fire department to try to think of what we can do for perhaps Thanksgiving. Because what I learned was ESWA, because Thanksgiving is on a Thursday and organizations are closed, they don't provide a Thanksgiving meal. You can, if you're on Meals on Wheels, you can order, your meal the day before for that day, but it's not the same as a grab and go. And so my goal, just so everybody's aware, because this will come up in our November agenda, is to work with the police department, the fire department, hopefully somebody from the Lions Club, or even asking town departments. What I'm thinking of doing is asking people to donate a turkey, a frozen turkey, and we can utilize our new freezer and our old freezers. Perhaps we can also ask people to donate cranberry sauce and things like that. So I do plan on asking the Friends of group if they will help with that, or maybe, just take it and see where it goes. Like I said, I just would like to see the Friends of group work with me so we can make larger events, because it's very difficult for me to sit behind the desk and at my computer to try to think of so many things to try to get done by myself. Zoya has a question.
Holly, you're talking about donation of food. What do you plan to do with that food which is donated?
So I was talking with another department head member this morning who has done something similar, and she suggested making pre-bagged or pre-boxed turkey dinners that are uncooked and having those readily available perhaps the Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving. and utilize the drive-through circle in front of the center, and having people just come through and we hand the boxes. I think a better way to do it is, a positive way to do it would be to have people sign up for that turkey dinner. So we made sure we had enough for everybody that signed up, and perhaps putting a cap, of like 50 turkeys or something like that. Because, at some point I don't want to have leftover food, and I definitely don't want to have enough. So that's just some.
Zoya?
If you're talking about uncooked food, these are people who are unable to cook on their own. That's why they're getting the Meals on Wheels. So if we give them uncooked food, how are they going to manage?
So actually, it's just not Meals on Wheels, but one of the problems that people are on Meals on Wheels is that they don't have the food. It may not be that they don't have a stove or a microwave. It's more so the food. But this is how I see it. If people come and they know that we're handing out frozen, uncooked food, they know that they will have to cook it. So I would hope that if they don't have a means, that they would maybe do an alternative and go elsewhere that does have the cooked food. We don't have the ability to cook unless when I meet with the fire and police departments, and they say, no, you know what, we want to cook it, we want to put it in a box. Again, these are just ideas that I have, swarming through my head for Thanksgiving. But back on the main subject of the Friends of is, if anybody here or listening at home has any ideas that, that they would like to help the Friends of group form on behalf of the COA and the Senior Center and on behalf of the seniors, I really think that the Friends of group needs some outside assistance that can be proactive and really help them, what's the word I'm looking for? Be productive through COVID and support everybody. I really want to work with them, and I completely understand, like I said, I understand the issues in which we're working. I really want to just move forward positively, and I need assistance, basically.
Barbara?
Do we, by the way, this was wonderful. Do we have that? I've read this twice, but I don't remember. Did we say that in the senior edition, that, the friends would like some help, and would anybody want to volunteer?
So that is in my November edition, to go forward. The Friends of did agree to take on, I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting, but there's since we had to postpone the 20th celebration, we're doing the 21st, and they did agree to take over the 21 for 21. So basically it's a $21 donation for the 21 years that the COA has been around, and hopefully they, I'm going to work with them on that to try to give them an idea of how I think that they can move forward with that, and really get some donations, and hopefully that will increase their spending budget that they might have, to really kind of help us out. I think it's going to be a long winter, and any kind of assistance from anybody, younger seniors, older seniors, students. I actually did reach out to Assabet High School to see if there were students that would be willing to kind of help out the Friends or help us out with virtual programming. I have not yet heard back from them, but I'm crossing my fingers, because I think just as the Friends need some, help and some creative ideas, as does the COA. So
I have one final question, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I think other organizations such as the Rotary Club, the Newcomers Club, and various churches have provided hot meals. Is none of that happening this year because of COVID, or are we coordinating with them? Or?
So I have not coordinated with them. How I have been approaching this is that I feel as though I would like to work with other town departments to try to make this happen. But I did, like I said, I did reach out to somebody from the Lions Club. I have not heard back from them yet either. And most of that comes from some of the conversations that we have through our department head meetings, but it doesn't mean that we would not collaborate with other people. Again, you know, I myself, Christine, the rest of my staff, even though we all have our job, I'm the Council on Aging Director, Christine's the office assistant / volunteer coordinator, transportation coordinator. We've all taken on so many more responsibilities other than what are ours, and it's just hard to get them all done at, you know, working like this. Because as I mentioned before, the creativity that we need to come up with now is just it's very time consuming, very time consuming. So I do plan on incorporating other organizations. I myself I don't have time to reach out to every single one of them. I'm just hoping word of mouth. So anything that, again, you all can help with, or people are home watching with a friends of group and their friends, all of it matters.
Any other questions? Okay, I think we better move along. We have got 20 minutes left.
So, so that kind of goes into the G goes into H, senior center programs during COVID. I've already kind of explained that, creativity and making them fit our current status. The feasibility study. So I don't know if any of you watched the meeting from 2 weeks ago that the fire department was approved. And one of the last questions that was asked in the meeting was, when will the town end up going to the residents saying that that the town wants money for the town hall and the senior center? And basically Kevin answered, I don't know. You know, it's all because of the budgets and the way, you know, there is no budget. It's a reduced budget. There's no way of knowing when we'll be ready to try to move forward with the town hall or the senior center. So I just wanted to give a little update on that. Any questions on that?
I thought we were.
Sorry?
I thought we were coming after the police station. Are we coming now after the town hall? Is the town hall ahead of us?
So there is no ahead of us. There just isn't money to be had right now for either building. I don't know the priority needs. So for instance, what I have learned is that the police station was built in 1972, and I think it was 1998 or 1999, there was some small renovations done, but it did not meet what the code should be to the needs of 2020. We are the newest building out of all of 3 buildings. So, but with that said, again, there's no way of knowing how, you know, what to expect for the rest of fiscal year 21 or what fiscal year 22 will look like. And, you know, we just have to wait and see.
The one thing to keep in mind, if this ever comes up again, I was actually watching one of the committee meetings earlier on, and I remember somebody saying that, yes, senior center should get special mention because the number of people who visit here far outnumber the number of people who go to the other 2 buildings. We get the most use. So we definitely need expansion because the population has grown quite a bit in the last 20 years. And the senior population, and we offer much more services, shall we say, than the other 2 to the people, a lot of people passing through the senior center than, let's say, the police station.
Well, and just to do a spin-off of what Shashi just said, and that's why I am such a big proponent on utilizing the My Senior Center software when people come into the center, because those statistics will allow me and the board to go to the town when the time is right to say, this is how many people utilize the senior center. Those statistics all matter. And myself and my staff have been working diligently to make sure that every call that comes over our phones or in prior, anybody that came into the building, sign in, because if we don't have material to back us up that we're being utilized, the town residents could say, no, we're not voting on it. There's no material to prove that it's working. So just so you know, going forward, when the senior center opens, I will be walking around myself and having staff go around saying, hey, did you sign in? Did you sign in? Because I think that's how we're going to get the money at the end of the day.
You have to have the data.
Yep. So just to move forward, so Jay, Eagle Scout Project. So this fine young gentleman, his name is Anthony, reached out to me a couple of months ago with an idea that he wanted to assist the senior center by building a raised portable kitchen. And I had the pleasure of meeting with him last week along with Keith Baldinger outside of the senior center to kind of go over his ideas of what he was thinking. And after talking with him, we realized that he needed to change his ideas a little bit. So what we ended up coming up with is that he would make 4 individual raised garden beds, and they would be on casters, so wheels with locks. So we could easily keep them on the pavers if we wanted to, or put them on the grass. Making sure, of course, if they're on the pavers, they're ADA accessible, in which they are. So he did just send me some plans. And I'm very excited about the possibility of offering outdoor activity and kind of responsibility for some of those seniors who enjoy doing that, but maybe can't bend over and do it at their own homes or anything like that. So I don't know if this is something we have to vote on with the board about moving forward with that, but I feel as though it is a huge asset to what the senior center has to offer. And right now, our only outdoor activity is bocce ball. And again, I think bocce is for the more fit because you have to bend over, you've got to throw, whereas the gardening, it's at your waist high. Again, we can move it into the shade, we can move it into the sun. I'm very excited about it. So this is something that would happen in the spring. So
Holly, I have a question.
Sure.
Is this somehow coordinated with Barbara's adopt a plot thing?
No. Nope. This is just an Eagle Scout who needs to earn a badge. And I've worked with Eagle Scouts in the past when I was working in Princeton. And every now and then you get lucky enough that one of them seeks you out and wants to do something for you at no cost to the board. The only cost would be afterwards is maybe maintaining it with plants and dirt and things like that. He was even talking about putting in a rain barrel so we could recycle the water from the top of the senior center. And Keith Baldinger thought that was something we could definitely do. So, I'm all about recycle, reuse. I just think that this would be a great addition to our offerings, especially when we reopen.
Barbara?
I propose that we accept this this Eagle Scout project and perhaps even send him a thank you card when we're done. Anybody second that?
I second it.
Before you ask that, I have a question. Is this going to be an intergenerational project with seniors?
Oh, sure. The great thing about this project is even if a senior brought their grandchild to the center, it's something that they could do together in a safe environment, and again, at no cost to the seniors. Absolutely. It's a fantastic intergenerational possibility piece.
So what is the responsibility of the Eagle Scout themselves?
So once the Eagle Scout builds it, it would then be the responsibility of the Council on Aging / Senior Center either staff and volunteers. I'm hoping the volunteers would be happy to assist in something like this in the maintenance of it.
So as I understand it, Mr. Baldinger's organization is going to provide the material and the tools?
No, this gentleman, he builds it. He provides, this has nothing to do with public facilities or Keith Baldinger. I simply asked Keith to be there to make sure that if we were going to provide an outdoor structure, that it didn't obstruct anything. It didn't go against any kind of rules that I may not know about. And he himself was very pleased to see the ideas. So no, this gentleman purchases it all and he builds it all.
So what is the involvement of the Scouts?
Of who?
The Scouts, the Eagle Scouts. The Eagle Scouts are going to be working with this gentleman?
No, it is a one person project. The reason this gentleman is doing this is because he gets to earn a badge. And when he earns this badge, he can move on and earn another badge. So this is what he needs to do for to move on with, and I don't know anything about the Eagle Scouts, but I do know it's a project that he needs to earn a badge in order to keep growing with the Scouts.
All right, gotcha. Barbara, what is your proposal?
All right. I propose that we accept the Eagle Scouts project, and when it's finished, I propose that we send him a thank you card.
I second the proposal.
Louise?
Yes.
Zoya?
Yes, absolutely.
Norma?
Yes.
Yes.
Barbara? Betsy?
Yes.
All right, all passed unanimously.
Great. So, so transportation is still, it's starting to pick up. We have, I did allow Cynthia to start accepting riders for other things other than medical appointments and groceries. So now we're taking people to the hair salon, people to Walmart, you know, the library is open by appointments, things like that. So transportation, we are not collecting fares through the rest of the calendar year through December. That is through WRTA. That's what they have chosen to do, just because money is dirty. We do finally have the van. The DPW is applying the stickers on it. So we did purchase the sign on the side, Chief Joseph's sign. They are putting the Shrewsbury COA on it, so it's identifiable. We did purchase that, and I do believe that money came out of the revolving fund. Is that correct? Christine says yes. We are in the process of purchasing plexiglass to make a barrier between the driver and the riders. And Kevin Miscard just approved that to be paid for from the CARES Act. So that's not an expense that the COA will have to take on. So that is fantastic. And now that I don't know if I told you this, but, oh no, I probably didn't because I haven't seen you, but the staff is in the 100% or 75% in the senior center right now. The fact that I have my children who are going to school, I'm still working remotely on B week, but everybody else is inside the senior center. So that is working out well because Cynthia, Donna, Pat, and Christine have been able to really kind of work out the kinks that have happened over the past couple of months with answering calls. And there was a lot of burden on Cynthia's shoulders to get all of that done by herself. So I think it is easing up slowly but surely. Just move on. I do have two things. Oh, Zoya?
I wanted to know about the cab rides. If our transport vans are working, why are we still doing the cab rides?
Well, because sometimes we have to do a cab ride because we are only allowing one rider at a time.
Okay.
Because of COVID, and sometimes we just are overbooked, but we don't want to deny anybody, so we assist with getting people cab rides. So that is still an expense that we will have to pick up. but I think it's an expense that is necessary. We don't want to turn anybody away from being scheduled. So thank you for that question.
I have a question about statistics. Are we I had asked you about this before. Are we collecting statistics? Numbers?
Yes. So Cynthia has all of that within her software program. So for instance, I just sent something over to the Shrewsbury Housing Authority with their statistics. I'm sorry I didn't include those here. Those were specifically just for the Housing Authority. I believe there were like 800 rides offered since August and now, but don't hold me to that without my
Oh, we lost Holly again.
enough. Oh, are we here? Am I here?
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay.
I have one other question. Have we, in the past month, denied a ride to anyone?
No.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Any other
Nope.
questions? Before we go on to the next section, which is new business, Louise has a bunch of questions of stuff that's been left
Yes,
over from last time. Go ahead, Louise.
This birthday card or whatever it is, the postcard things. I hadn't heard about this program until I got the printout. Where did this come from and what's it going to be used for? And can
Sure.
you explain?
Sure. So yes. So after having my staff meeting with everybody, it was brought to my attention that there are probably 10. I mean, we have about 8,000 to 10,000 seniors, and with 8,000 to 10,000 seniors, that's 8,000 to 10,000 phone calls that the staff has been trying to do, which ends up being was it 1,500 a week, Christine? 500 a week or something like that?
I misplaced my counts, but it's about between 600 and 800 calls that they make a month.
Yeah. So what we decided to do as kind of in addition to the outreach program is anyone 90 or above would receive a card with, saying happy birthday on it from your friends at the Shrewsbury Senior Center with a little description of what we offer with our telephone number on it. So it's actually something physical for them to have. Because what Donna had mentioned was that there's so many times they make a phone call and they leave a message. They don't know if anybody got the message. They didn't actually get to talk to anybody. So I thought, and of course we haven't gone and purchased these yet because I wanted to get the approval of the board. That was my new business. I thought that it's in addition to like connect and assist. So we're connecting with them and saying happy birthday to them. And again, only those 90 and over, and showing them that we do exist, because there are some people, believe it or not, that don't even know that Shrewsbury there is.
I know that. Yes.
So
I looked at the card, and my only critique would be the first part of it. You list all the, I should say, outside kinds of things. The veterans agent, the transportation, the fuel assist, all those kind of things. Only the last two words, active programs, describe anything that happens inside. I said the myriad of programs that we offer inside the senior center. I mean, everything from hand and foot to bridge to Bikino to Scrabble and then the yoga, there's so many activities. And I think if you read this, and if somebody says, well, not a veteran, and I don't want to volunteer, and I don't need any of the, I think if you tell them the things that if they come to the senior center, and I think that would be the object, is to get them to come to something, even the programs we have, the entertainment kind of thing. That I would put more of an emphasis on getting them to come into the senior center if they don't know about it. Because if none of these things relate to them, they're not going to pay any attention to it. And I think I would just reverse it and talk about the positive kinds of things that are going on, and then say, we do this kind of thing as well. You know, to get here, you can take the transportation. If you don't have transportation, we have, you know, I would change that part of it. I think the idea of sending it to those, I don't quite qualify yet, so I'll have to wait. But
so I can definitely see if Alpha Graphics can possibly give us a spot on the back where it says our address to list some of the activities that you just mentioned, because I mean it could take up the whole entire card of what we are able to offer. So I could see if they'll put it on the back for us. I think that's a wonderful idea.
But I just think, you know, I don't know, I would put something on the front of the card that will refer them to the back of the card. Some people don't turn it over. They just look at it and say, you know, this kind of thing. I think you need to pull them in. If this is going to those that they say, I know people that don't even know it's here, you know, the senior center is here. I say here because it's not my house, but so, yeah.
Does it look more like a business card rather than a birthday card?
No, it's big. It's a postcard. It's a postcard sign.
Right, but the way it is formatted, it looks more like a business card.
So I can definitely have Alpha Graphics kind of send us a couple of different options, and you know we can take a look at them, and I can send them out to you guys just to get some feedback. I don't think the birthday card is anything we have to vote on, but I'd certainly like feedback. You know, because it's not a big expense.
I was wondering the difference in the prices in the list we have. Why are they? I mean, there's 4,000 in one, there's 8,300 in another, there's 500. They're all the same size.
Yep.
Why? What differentiates the three different types that are on here?
Well, so I wanted to get an idea if we were to send them out to every senior 60 plus, what would it cost? If we were only to send out to certain seniors that are in my senior center, what would it cost?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I thought this was one order, but this was just a sample.
Yes. Yeah. Of what
I got you. I misunderstood when I read this. I thought this was the whole order.
Yeah. No.
Can you move on to your remain? You've got 5 more questions here.
Go
ahead.
I know we're running out of time, and I think there are a lot of issues. As I was going through, I was finally cleaning out my folder, and I came across a lot of issues that we have talked about, but we have never finalized. One of the main ones that I was concerned, or not concerned, but curious about, was the survey that the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services did this summer, or last winter they did. They went to the Board of Selectmen in August. We talked about it in September, but we have never seen any of the results. We have never talked about, and I'm wondering how we relate to what they are doing, because they want to reach out to the seniors as well. And I think it could be something that we could coordinate with that department, or we should be coordinating with them as well. I think that needs to be on the agenda next time so that we can really understand exactly what's, and also the intern. Isn't the intern from the, or do we still have the intern? I guess that's the,
yeah, so we still have the intern, and I actually just spoke with her later last week or earlier this week, and she has been assisting with all of the calls that we forward to them, especially with for the fuel applications. So she has been working with our seniors. So yes, SYSF is still doing their part that they agreed to do. They've still been trying to help us, you know, find our outreach coordinator. Yes, they did meet with the Board of Selectmen a few months ago to talk about the survey. And since the survey, there's been so many different changes. Myself coming on new boards, even, you know, when David Snowden was acting interim director, lot of positive things have changed since that survey has come out, not only for the Shrewsbury Council on Aging, but also for the Shrewsbury Housing Authority and the library. And I think a lot of that came with, you know, when you replace someone after so many years, with that comes new ideas and more innovation and things like that. And
I think, excuse me, but I think we're going to run out of time. And I think I would like to put this on the agenda for next time so we can have a really in-depth kind of discussion on where we are. And I don't know, I would love to meet the intern if that would be possible, that we could see who is working for us or with us. And I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she'll be able to join our agenda meeting, but I can certainly find out.
Yeah, I had just a couple other things too. The waiver that's on the My Senior Center application. I know we had briefly discussed it at one point. It was mentioned. Did you have a legal look at that? And
Yes.
they approved it?
Yep, legal looked at all of the papers.
Is there any other group in town that uses that before they sign up for something?
I'm not aware of any other.
I think that's a question I would like to have answered. I found it. I don't know that I would sign it. I just it bothers me, a lot of it, but because I know that there are regulations for public buildings, and this is a public building. I would like to compare what the general overall public building document says, and then compare it with what this one says, if we had that kind of thing, you know. I said, these are issues that we have talked about off and on for the last 6 months. Not quite. We didn't start up till May, I guess. So, and we never finished. We would mention it, and then we never finished the conversation and never got back to it. I said, these are notes that I found that were on my agenda. I also want to know if anybody proofread the facility use and program application form.
The only item that I have revised from the proofreading was the one that you sent me on the policies and procedures.
All right, well, I'll go through this one because I looked through the first couple pages and it has the same kinds of issues that I found in the other one. So have these been published at any place?
So the only things that we're ready to put up is the policies and procedures with the grammar that you sent me. And again, I welcome all of that assistance. I was not an English teacher, and I pronounce everything with at the end. You've probably seen that. So I welcome any and all assistance from any board member, any outside person, anybody. So yes, help me out.
No, I just think, you know, I wasn't an English teacher. I was a kindergarten teacher, but I was a journalism major in my other life. So that's where I got the proofreading. But no, I think, I mean, just like capital letters for the senior center, every place it should be the same. One time it called you an executive director, another time it called you the COA director. I mean, and there were so many, anything that goes out over our name, I wanted to have very professional. I think we deserve that as the work that we put into this committee. And I think just looking at, I mean, it's so simple. You just look at it and you can tell that this is not, it looked like some, you know, 8th grade kid put it together. And we don't want that impression from our board, I don't think. And that's why I think I'll go through this other one too and see what, I didn't do the resource guide because that had too many pages. So I didn't do that one.
Well, I appreciate your constructive criticism on my writing part. And I look forward to seeing your edits for me to do on the papers.
I have nothing else.
I will tell you, I have more than an 8th grade.
Time out, no argument, no fights. Barbara, you're going to unmute your.
I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that the Shrewsbury Credit Union has volunteered to take care of our garden near our sign. It doesn't cost us a penny, and they're going to clean that up, and they're going to plant beautiful flowers and keep it watered and everything else. So I just want to acknowledge thank you to the Shrewsbury Credit Union.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go back to what Louise was saying before. I have something I want to introduce, but think about it for the next time. This waiver, is it necessary? What would happen if it's not there? Are we going to be, I mean, legal is saying, yes, that's legal to put it in there, but if it makes the seniors uncomfortable, and if we were to take it out, are we in serious trouble? It's something to find out for next time.
Yep. So I have it on my notes to talk to Kristen about it today. And I just want to state that I was under the impression when I first started here that part of the strategic plan was to have certain policies, procedures, and things in place. And after talking with some of my regional directors, for some of the things that they do require a waiver. So perhaps it's not something that like every person that signs up has to have when they fill out the scan card information. Perhaps it's something that I can simplify even more so on the bottom of the card, on the bottom of the form, that just says, have you read the policies and procedures? And if they say yes, that's good enough. So it might be a simple enough change that we can omit the waiver. But I will do some more research on that.
I think that's better. I like that approach.
Shashi,
yep.
one quick thing too, again, these to go on next month's agenda, I hope. Security. We don't have time to get into it today, but we had mentioned it last month and the month before, but we haven't forgotten about it. We've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years now, and we still don't have anything. So I would like to really have a discussion about that as well, whatever you could tell us, but not now. We don't have time now. We're running out of time.
Excuse me, Louise and I, Louise is my mentor, and we talked about it, and I said, perhaps it's a good idea to include that in the minutes as items that are being carried over to the next meeting as part of our minutes. Is there any consensus on that?
So
good idea, bad idea?
No idea? So my thought on the security is something that, because the senior center is not open right now, is not something that needs to be directly on our each month agenda. I did mention last month that I was looking for some grants that could help possibly pay for having that done, because it ends up being about $15,000, the quote, when John Covey had given it to me well over a month ago. It is not something that I have forgotten. It is on my daily agenda when I go and look. It's just, I don't feel it's necessary to put on the agenda at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, that brings up another question. There is a municipal plan that covers all municipal buildings, but what Louise is talking about is internal security, correct? Louise?
Yes.
That we can definitely put on hold for now.
Right, and I do have I have a sticky list on my office desk, and it has several different capital projects that I plan on putting in for fiscal year 22. And that security is one of them. So I just want to let everybody know. So and for the next agenda meeting, I'll bring up what my capital projects will be. I don't have those in front of me. But before we go, I have 2 very quick things. I am looking for somebody, and either somebody on the board or somebody that might be watching at home, to do like a write-up each month, so people aren't always hearing from me. So Zoya, I thank you for giving us our write-up for the month of October. It was nice to hear from somebody else and to see somebody else. November is Caregivers Month.
That was beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. So November is Caregivers Month, and I'm looking for somebody to write up just something as much as what Zoya put out, you know, just a couple of paragraphs, a few sentences, maybe of a caregiving experience, how you've, maybe if you are a caregiver, you know, how do you feel about it? And I would just ask that anybody that submits anything to me, you know, submit a photo so we can kind of put a face to the story and the experience that we're reading. I think that is helpful to our readers. So if any of you, and I need to submit the newsletter at the latest by the 15th, and that's really pushing it. So if somebody, like I said, any of you, a couple of you have gone back to me saying that you don't have that experience, but anybody watching, if they want to submit anything, I'd be happy to do that. The only other thing I want to mention, and I want to get this out there really quick, is one of the programs that Christine found a volunteer to do is Gifts for Seniors. This was something I had done back when I worked in Berlin, and it was hugely successful. So Christine was able to find a senior and is developing or has developed a group, and it's called the In It Together Volunteer Group. And basically, they're just getting the word out that we're accepting donations, that they're taking donations, we're accepting them at the senior center on behalf of seniors. So these donations will be gift bag and a holiday gift bag in December, and we will separate the items accordingly. And we will distribute those gift bags to Meals on Wheels recipients, to grab and go people, people that, you know, my staff talks to weekly, riders that come on, people that we know that are living alone and could utilize some of those things. So we are seeking donations, and we're accepting them on behalf of the In It Together volunteer group. And there will be a bin located in the front entrance of the senior center outside. There will also be hand wipes for anybody that wants to wipe the lid down before they use it if they would like. And we will then disinfect accordingly when we take them in each day. So I just wanted to get the word out that that program is running. And I wanted to thank, her name is Paula that's leading it. I can't wait.
Barbara, you've got to unmute. Barbara? Oh,
Can we also maybe put a first of all, thank you. What's her name?
Her name is Paula.
Thank you, Paula. And can we also put something like when I go grocery shopping, you know, there's always bins there for the food pantry. So can we put like a bin like that maybe at the library too?
I don't see why not. I can certainly contact Priya today to see if she would allow us to have a bin outside there for us to collect. Sure.
Or even at the town hall, because nobody comes to the senior center during COVID.
That's good point. Yep, good point. I can bring that up.
Because every time I go grocery shopping, I see that bin, and it you know, it makes you want to, you know, remember to give something.
Donate, yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you for that. Shush, that's all I have. Not all I have. That was a lot.
15 minutes over the schedule. Does anybody have anything else they wish to, and urgent to discuss? All right. In that case, would someone propose that we adjourn?
I propose that we adjourn.
Any seconder?
Second. I second.
Okay. Those in favor. Louise? Yes. Zoya?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
All in favor. Meeting is adjourned.
Great.
11:16.
Happy
Be
October,
healthy,
everybody.
And thank you, Holly, for setting all this up.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take
Bye
care.
now.